Hello witches, welcome back to the channel. This is Hectarius. So this is going to be my Q&A video. So I've got a bunch of questions here from subscribers and also from Facebook friends. And yes, I'm just going to get right into this because I don't want to make a super long video like I did on the last Q&A. And my phone records in like 30-minute increments, so it like broke the video up while I was recording and stuff. So hopefully I don't have that issue this time. And I'm just gonna get right into it. So the first question is from Brendan, and he asked me, of all the spell workings that you have done, which was the one that you went the most ham on and really overkilled it? And he's referring to, I'm thinking like darker spells and curses and such like that. I have to think about that for a minute. I've done a lot of spells in my lifetime. I've done a lot of curses as well. And, you know, really as I sit here and look at it, or rather look back on it, I don't really think I have ever really done anything like so over the top that it's like unreasonable or irrational or anything. I think that all of the curses that I have done have been justified and, you know, kind of tempered a little bit. But then again, maybe I'm not the best person to check myself on that topic. Because I know I said in one of my previous videos when I was talking about curses and stuff, and I was advising y'all not to overkill or go over the top with your curses. You know, I said in that video that in the past I had done just that. And that's why I'm giving that advice, because I've seen the consequences and the repercussions when you do go over the top with cursing and stuff. You know, it can come back on you if you go past a certain limit. If you know, curse someone more than they deserve. Okay? So, you know, it's hard to think of just one time to give an example that was like the worst, because none of them are really that bad that I would consider like overkilling it to this degree. But I'll give one example, which I still consider this a success story, to be honest. There was a time when I was friends with this person. He was a witch as well. And he was kind of like not that deep into it as I was, or not that good at it. I don't know. But we were friends. But over time, it came about to the point to where it was revealed that he was just a really shitty friend. And it was a situation to where I felt sorry for him because he had lost his mother. And so I was sort of in this relationship out of pity, to be honest. And when I say relationship, I just mean friendship. And, you know, he was not very well liked in town either, so he had very little friends. And I've always been sort of, you know, that person that, you know, befriends people like that. And so I was like doing this out of kindness, you know, and being there for this person. And over the course of, the years of our friendship, it just really turned out that he was really just a shitty person in general. And there was a reason why he didn't have that many friends. He was the type of person that really played on people's pity, and sort of would play the victim in order to get attention or get that affection from others. So, to make a long story short, I gave this individual so many different chances and kept forgiving him and just giving him chance after chance after chance. And it got to a point to where, I said, you know what, I'm just done with this. I'm done with, he betrayed me like so many times. And I got to the point to where I was like, I'm done with this dude. And I'm done being his friend. I'm done with all of it. And I'm just going to curse him. So I came straight home after the little tiff that had transpired. And I instantly, without really thinking about it or without tempering myself, I just instantly set in on cursing him. And I made a voodoo doll of him. I stuffed it with object links to him, and I bound it up with black cord, and I bound it to like this heavy ass rock, and I put it in a bag with a whole bunch of other rocks, tied that up and bound that up, and I took it to the cemetery. I took it to the park that is right beside the cemetery, and there's a big pond there, and I threw it into the pond, and it all just like sank down to the bottom of the pond. And like immediately that night, he ended up going to jail, like for some stupid reason. Like he was walking around in the night or something, and he saw a kitten, and he chased the kitten, or was trying to catch the kitten, and he like went in someone's yard, and they instantly just called the cops on him and reported him as if like he was trying to break in or something like that. So he just went to jail automatically. So that was like one of the fastest results I've ever had doing spell work of that type. Like literally within hours of doing that ritual, that happened, and he just went to jail, and he was like in jail for like months on end. As a matter of fact, he was in jail all the way until I ended up feeling bad about it, and I did a spell to get him released, and within like a week of that, he ended up getting out of jail. But he was homeless when he got out. So I guess that would be one of the, I guess that'll just be the example or the answer to the question. So yes, that's my example, Brendan. I hope that answers your question. Okay, the next question is from Kristen. She asked, what is your day like? What little rituals do you incorporate daily? So that's a good question. Well, I'll start off with saying that my days are always different. I'm always doing different things. It really just depends. Since I do, tarot readings and witchcraft in a professional capacity, there's always different things on my plate. I never have a boring day. I'll say it like that. But what little rituals do I incorporate daily? Every morning or whatever time of the day that I happen to wake up, I light an incense to Hecate as an offering, and I just do a quick little like devotional to her, giving her my love, giving her my attention, putting that effort in to connect with her presence and give thanks and all of that. That's basically my daily morning ritual. I will give her offerings also, like every single day. At some point during the day, I will give her like a food and a drink offering. And then at the end of the day, when I'm going to sleep, like I actually lay down in bed and stuff, and I also commune with her. I find that that's the most strongest time to commune with Hecate, is right when I first lay down and I'm tired from the day, and so my body's like ready to just go to sleep and pass out. And it's like a ritual thing that I just incorporate. Like I lay down and it's almost like I'm letting my mind unwind for the day, and I just have a conversation with her. And you know, since I'm psychic and I telepathically am able to talk with Hecate, I literally just have a conversation with her, and she tells me like a lot of insights. She answers my questions. She just dispenses wisdom to me that's like a random, and it's just like a nice little end of the day ritual and just communion with her. And then I just fall asleep. I find that I fall asleep in the depths of a conversation like that. Like there's no point where the conversation just ends. It's like the conversation carries me into sleep. And then, you know, that's basically it. So that's like my normal daily rituals. Just like 3 simple things throughout the day. If it's like a special day, like the dark moon, the full moon, one of her sacred days, I'll do like a little something extra. But that's basically it as far as my personal devotional daily rituals. And then once again, like I said, you know, all throughout my day, I'm doing all other kinds of magic for clients and stuff. So the next question is, a couple people asked about this. Actually, 3 different people asked about this. So I figured this is an important one to cover. Do you have experience with depression or related, or anything related to that adversely affecting your motivation to even do magic at all? And also of depression having a draining effect, or feeling disconnected from the universe and spiritual realms because of the depression. So that's an interesting question. I think that's a good thing to cover on the channel since 3 people asked it. I'm sure a lot more people wonder about this. So first of all, yes, I do have experience with depression. Not anytime recently, but in the past, I used to have depression a lot when I was in high school and stuff. And so I definitely have firsthand experience with it. And absolutely, I feel like it did have a draining effect, and also, you know, sapped my motivation for magic in general, and just for life in general. And I definitely also did feel disconnected from the universe and spiritual realms at times. So I know how this feels. I understand this question intimately. And as far as advice for this, which kind of relates to the next question, so I'm going to go ahead and say that as well. The next question was from Kristen, and she asked, how do you witch your way out of a funk? And I think that that's pretty much related to the previous question or topic, whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and just include those as together as one question. So, you know, there was different layers of it for me, because sometimes the depression and that energy, the oppressive energy, was sometimes that was actually a motivating force that pushed me into witchcraft and magic and wanting to connect to a higher power and my own power and magic. I guess it kind of just depends on what is the cause of your depression, which for me was feeling like I had no control over my life, or feeling like I wasn't able to express myself fully, or feeling like I was being oppressed from outside forces. To me, that was a large cause of my depression. And so that really did, you know, push me more to want to advance in witchcraft and magic, and want to use spells and rituals, not only to affect my outer world and cause change for the better, but also to empower myself within. And a lot of the deities that I was first drawn to were deities like Athena and Thoth, and gods of like wisdom, because I wanted enlightenment. I wanted sort of like understanding of, you know, my situation, why I was feeling the way I was feeling, and how to change my perceptions and my worldviews in a way that would bring that type of healing and bring, you know, enlightenment and empowerment, so that I wouldn't have to feel that way anymore. So I don't know, I just feel like that type of depressive energy was one of the main things that did motivate me to this path. So hopefully, I don't know, hopefully this gives you a little bit of a different perspective of it. Because I know you're saying that, do I have experience with depression affecting motivation? So I don't know. I mean, not necessarily. I've never felt a lack of motivation in and of itself. I have felt a lack of energy before. I've always had the drive to do magic, but there was times when I was depressed, when I felt like I just didn't have the energy to do it, or I felt like this oppressive energy of like, what's the point, and things like that sort of blocked me. But I never felt truly a lack of motivation for magic. I always felt driven to do it, to change myself and my situation and circumstances. And then, as far as feeling disconnected from the universe and spiritual realms, truly, once again, no, I have never felt truly disconnected from the higher power or that spiritual energy and reality, except for at one point in my life. And this sort of ties in with the first question and what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. There was one point in my life I think I've talked about this on the channel before too. At the beginning of my path into witchcraft, you know, properly training and casting spells and stuff, not just doing natural magic, but actually studying it and casting spells and stuff. I went through a dark phase of doing a lot of curses, getting back at people, and etc. like that. And I really let that consume me. And it came to a point to where I actually lost my ability to even do magic. I feel as a repercussion, as a consequence to me abusing it. I was not able to do any kind of magic for 3 years. And I feel like that was some sort of higher power humbling me because I had been abusing my power for years before. So, and I got to a really dark, bad point with it. And I feel like some sort of higher power, possibly Goddess Hecate, punished me and took away my abilities for 3 years. And during that 3 years, I absolutely felt disconnected from the universe. I felt like my soul was gone. I felt like I was just 100% mundane, disconnected from feeling anything in nature, disconnected from feeling, I didn't feel any power within myself at all, magically. I did not feel any outer connection to anything. I didn't feel any connection to any deities or spirits. I felt just completely cut off. And that was like a super depressing time at first. But I did come to understand that as some sort of punishment or humbling experience to let me know not to abuse these abilities and powers and not to take them for granted either. They're a gift. The ability to do magic is a gift from the higher power. And so, you know, we shouldn't take it for granted. And we shouldn't abuse it. And I feel like if you do abuse it for a prolonged period of time, it will be taken away from you. That's my view on it. That's my experience of it. And so, you know, after about the first year of going through that, I ended up really changing my behavior, changing my views, changing my just changing myself from the inside out. It really humbled me and made me put myself in check and really start to learn more of the spiritual side of all of this. Because in the beginning, I was more focused and invested in the outer world and using magic to manifest and things like that in the outer world. And of course, as well as cursing and doing stuff like that, using magic on people. But during this 3-year period, I ended up taking that spiritual stance and taking the inward journey and really becoming introspective and learning meditation and all of the inner work that is so vital a foundation to these practices. Now, how far I've come as a teacher, I feel and I teach that the inner work is the vital first step to all of this. I mean, that is your foundation, truly. So that's very important. And after that 3-year period of really doing that and going through all of that process, changing from the inside out, I ended up getting my abilities back. But it was different abilities. They came back different. I never got back the same abilities that I had before. I got new abilities. and powers. So besides the psychic aspect, because I was always empathic, being able to sense and feel energies, and that was also cut off during that 3 years. And then that's one of the abilities that came back at the end of the 3 years. But the other abilities and powers that I had, none of those came back, which they were mostly like dark anyway. So that was fine with me. And the new abilities that I got were in alignment with all of the development that I had been doing. So I don't know really why I told that story, other than to say, I guess that's the only time I felt disconnected from the universe and from the spiritual realms. But that's also when Hecate came to me at the end of that 3 years period. She came to me and she became my matron goddess. So how do you witch your way out of a funk? I guess that's what I would say. Take it inward. I'm sorry, I have to take my wallet off because it's like hurting my ass. Take the journey inwards. See if there's something that needs to shift inside of you. See if there's something that you can do, some sort of magic that you could do on yourself, within yourself, to lift your spirit, to bring out the positive good vibes. I have found that just having gratitude every day, doing a gratitude prayer, for anything. Start off with the most basic thing. Give thanks that you woke up for the day. Give thanks that you slept in a bed that night. Give thanks that there was a roof over your head. Give thanks that you have something to eat and drink for the day. Give thanks for, because I know when you're in a depressed state, you really just feel, or whenever I was in a depressed state, I really just felt like nothing mattered, like everything was just horrible and there was just nothing to be thankful for. But there always is. You just have to look for it and see what's right in front of you. I give gratitude for the simple things. Find joy in existence itself. There's always something that will give you joy. There's always something that you could be thankful for. And I feel like that is a powerful first step to getting out of that funk energy, that depressed, low vibing energy. Just focus on the present and the things surrounding you that you can be thankful for, and give thanks for that. Put that effort into giving that energy radiating out from you. Focus on what you love, and that, it will be a process, but you will slowly, as you continue to do this each day, for me personally, it shifted my experience. It shifted my mood. It shifted my reality in that way. And once again, it is a process, but I feel like, that's the best advice and input that I could give on this question. Take it inward. See what you can shift about yourself, about your thought patterns, about your mood. Controlling your own emotions is a major part of magic, and being depressed, it's a state of mind and a state of emotion, and you can change that by changing your focus. Put your focus on, something that you love to do. put your energy into that, and you will be able to reprogram that funk, that depressive mindset. I think there's like a scientific thing that something that you do for 30 consecutive days becomes a habit. It changes the structure and the programming of your brain and your mind. So being in gratitude for 30 consecutive days should do, even at the chemical scientific level in your brain, it should bring about some positive changes going on there. So I hope that answers the question. And I hope that you get better. Now, the next question is from Debbie. She asked how to grow closer to Hecate. She said, I leave offerings daily and do prayers twice a day, but sometimes I don't feel that close to her. So that's a good question as well, Debbie, and I can understand that too. So let me preface this with saying Goddess Hecate is the type of goddess that she's distant sometimes. I think her name translates to something like she who works her will from afar. So there's a distance to her. And I feel like that's because of her position and her role. She's the queen of the spirits. She's the queen of magic. She's the queen of witches. So she has a high function and a high role in the spirit realm. That translates to she has a lot of work to do all the time. So she's not going to be the type of goddess that's there holding your hand 24/7. She has work to do. She'll be distant a lot of the time, and then she will come to you when you need her. Okay? That's just the facts of how Hecate is. Now, with that said, you know, as far as growing closer to her, just keep up what you're doing. You're saying that you leave offerings to her daily and you pray to her twice a day. You know, as I was saying in my answer to my question earlier, my daily ritual is pretty much the same. I give her an offering daily and I pray to her twice a day, at the beginning of my day and when I'm going to sleep. I do the same things that you're doing. So I think that that is perfect. What you're already doing is fine. You know, just keep it up. Just keep doing what you're doing. And I was doing that with Hecate for, let's see, from like 2008 to 2013, I was doing exactly what you're doing. Every single day I was doing that devotional thing. And I didn't get my super close relationship with Hecate that I have now until 2013. She always felt distant from me. From 2008 to 2013, I was already devoted to her. She was already my matron goddess. But she always felt distant. I always knew she was there. I always felt a connection to her, but it always felt like she was distant. Like she was far away. Even while it felt like she was watching and observing me and my rites. I never felt that she was directly in the room with me or directly at my circle or participating in my rite. It always felt like she was far away, just kind of like watching, observing it. And I think that that's a normal thing with her because she's a very picky goddess when it comes to working with people and her devotees. You know, I have to refer back to my other video on how to begin working with Goddess Hecate. What I said in that video, I still stand by that. She's a picky goddess, truly. She doesn't want just anyone she doesn't want to work on a personal level with just anyone. Now, as I said in that video as well, anyone can worship her, anyone can devote to her, but she has her own will. She has her own personality. And she makes her own free will choices. And so she chooses who she wants to deepen her relationship with. We don't get to choose that. And I still stand by what I said in that video. And I know a lot of people didn't like to hear that, but it's the truth, and I'm not going to lie to you. And I think it's the same with any deity. They all choose for themselves who they're going to deepen their relationship with and when. We do not get to choose that. I feel that the best thing that we can do is to stay devoted, to stay loyal, to keep putting in the effort. And that's our way of showing the deity that we're serious, that we're dedicated, and that we are about that life, okay? That's the best we can do. And other than that, you just have to sort of wait for the deity, if and when they choose to come closer into your life. That's just how it is. So I understand how you feel, that she feels distant at times. I mean, even now, there's times when I feel like she's distant from me. But it's nothing is wrong. That is just how it is, okay? That's normal. And there will eventually come a time when she comes close around you again, okay? Excuse me. So just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing it right. Okay, the next question is from Katina. And she has her own YouTube channel, HPK Spiritual Services, I think is what it's called. And she asked me, do you know much about the story of Aradia, Gospel of the Witches? And she thinks it's connected to Hecate. So, yes, I know that story pretty well. Hang on a second. Oh my gosh. Hang on a second, guys. Okay, so I just got the book real quick. This is the book she's talking about, Aradia, or the Gospel of the Witches by Charles Leyland. This is a great book if you have not read it yet. It's fantastic. It has like an ancient old world vibe to it, and it really feels like it's almost like a storybook, but at the same time, it's it's like a mythology of Aradia. And there's lots of different spells and magic in it as well, and lots of information in this book. So if you have not read this book, I highly recommend it for all witches. So yes, I do know the book, I do know the story, and you're saying that you think it's connected to Hecate. I kind of agree and disagree, because in the book, the main goddess talked about is Diana, as the goddess of the moon, and she's also called the Queen of the Fairies in this version and in this book as well. And I do feel like it is connected to Hecate. I mean, even in ancient times, Hecate was very much equated with Diana in many ways. as that lunar aspect. So I can see why you're saying that. And in the book, how they say that Diana is the queen of the fairies as well. I can also see that as a connection with goddess Hecate as well, because when I work with Hecate, I experience as well fairies. And like the way how I see them, usually when I see goddess Hecate's presence, I perceive it as golden orbs, like a big, huge orbs like this big, and they're gold colored, and which is kind of ironic, or not ironic, but someone just messaged me. Let me throw the chat head away. Don't y'all love doing that? But what was I gonna say? Okay, because if you read this book called Hecate Sotera, or if you just read in just old literature about Hecate, they associated a golden globe with her that has a sapphire in the center. So I think that's very interesting, because whenever I see her spiritually, she appears as a golden colored orb. And also other spirits that are connected to her, like higher vibrational spirits and energies that are just around her as well, will appear like that. And then I will also see fairies around as well, and those appear to me as little tiny blue and white orbs. And so definitely, yes, I think that she's associated with fairies because of that reason, which at the same time, I feel like fairies are associated with ancestors and the dead. Maybe not all of them, but some of them. I feel like some deceased human souls become fairies, and I don't understand it or why, but I feel like in some kind of a way, some ancestors are fairies. I've always kind of felt that ever since I started seeing them when I do my work with Hecate, or when they'll just be around when Hecate's around, and when I see those orbs and stuff. So I just think that's interesting. Little tidbit, I guess I'll share in this video. But I agree with you, Katina. I do think that they're related in some way. Another question from Katina: how are witches connected to the underworld? I was shown something. I think she was referring to a dream that she had, or some kind of spiritual insight. And she asked, are real witches controllers of daemons? And so, okay, how are witches connected to the underworld? Well, once again, it's the ancestors. It's the ancestral spirits. I feel that witches are connected through that means. Once again, it ties into to what I mentioned about fairies. I feel like some fairies are ancestor spirits. I feel like there's just a connection there that really has not been expounded on that much in any books or anything. So I would be interested to discuss this more with you, Katina. Message me on Facebook and let's talk about this because I would be interested to know exactly what you got in your dream message and just discuss it more. But yes, I think that witches are absolutely connected to the underworld in that regard of working with the ancestors, working with spirits, calling on the underworld powers and spirits for our magic. And are witches controllers of daemons? I think yes as well. In the ancient world, daemons were known as the intermediary spirits between us at the human level and the higher power. So y'all forgive me because I'm pretty sure that this video is going to be broken up into different parts. I might be able to edit it all back together into one video. But if it is breaking up in 30-minute increments, it's probably going to like cut out a few seconds of speech because that's what it did on the last Q&A. So I apologize if that's happening. But anyway, yes, the daemons were known as intermediary spirits. So they're absolutely, I don't know if I want to say, are we controllers of them as witches? But there's definitely a relationship there.